Riding on board with the race leader Carl Edwards as we come to you from our ESPN pit studio. Alan Bestwick, Rusty Wallace, and Brad Daugherty. Edwards out in front by 4.3 seconds on Jamie McMurray. Meanwhile, the man that he's trying to chase down for the Sprint Cup Championship in this race is sliding backwards. Jimmy restarted 17th a little while ago. He's running 24th now.
Yeah, the car's not looking good at all. In fact, he pitted back there again a little bit later on. I believe it was like lap 57 or something, guys. And he put 4 tires on, which you would think would make the car better. And Brad, it's actually got worse.
Yeah, he seems to be really struggling with grip. But I'll tell you what, I'm just not putting anything past this 48 team. I'm going to wait till the end of the day when the sun goes down a little bit to see if they can make their charge. They're so good at the end of the race, but right now it's a struggle.
Let's find out what they're saying in the championship leaders pits. Mike, what do you got?
Well, I think Brad has some pretty good insight because Chad just came over to the radio to Jimmy and said, hey, look, be patient. You know this car. This is the car, I remind you, that they had a week ago when they kind of waffled around in mediocrity most of the afternoon, but then they bolted on those 4 tires in that last restart and finished second. So Chad reminding Jimmy that this car will come to him eventually. The one thing they're unable to do right now that they'd like to do, they want to run toward the top of the racetrack. They've made some adjustments to try to help Jimmy do that, but early on he was unable to get that accomplished.
All right, Mike, thanks. So Jimmy running in 25th place right now. We will keep an eye on him, while we're also keeping an eye on the lead car, Carl Edwards, who's quickly closing on the back of that pack. Well, wouldn't he love to put Jimmy Johnson a lap down?
Oh, you know, Carl Edwards can see him up there, and he's just going to run as hard as he can and try to lap Johnson as fast as he possibly can. I mean, Johnson's big trouble right now, guys.
Of course, as we saw at Atlanta last week, Rusty, having Jimmy a lap down doesn't mean anything early in the race.
Right.
He came back from that and had that second place finish. How about a look at our Ford up to speed? Got 3 Fords running up front, Dave.
Alan, the guy who said he could dominate this weekend is starting to, even though the championship isn't in their hands. That according to crew chief Bob Osborne, who told me that takes some of the pressure off. It's not huge pressure. We'd rather have, though, the opportunity to have the championship in our hands. It's not quite as much fun this way. Behind him is teammate Jamie McMurray. He stopped for a car that just failed to turn a little like the way he wanted to on the first run. Air pressure adjustment to work on that. During the oil down caution, they stayed on the track to keep their track position. Jamie?
And Greg Biffle on a charge. He's starting 19th, up to 3rd right now. It's all Roush Fenway, the top 3. Greg Biffle, of course, your 2005 winner. He says now the car, the balance, pretty good. They're going to keep digging just a little bit loose. Behind him, Clint Boyer dominated the first part of this race. He's running 4th right now. Car's okay. He said he's getting loose too as the sun is setting. It's actually getting warmer on the racetrack, and you're hearing more about the car conditions getting looser. And Clint Boyer, of course, saying last week it was his mulligan. He finished 20th. Worst chase finish, and he's looking for a rebound, Dave.
How can David Rudiman a little loose off that corner. How can he help his team the most? He said, anticipate and communicate. He said this track is going to change. He told me I need to get that info to my crew early enough so that they can work with that. They need my feedback. Jamie?
About Juan Pablo Montoya, this brand new race car is working to his benefit. He started 26th, and he told me right before he got in the car, he said, I'm loving these 1.5 mile racetracks because you can move around anywhere. You don't have to stay at the bottom, don't have to stay at the top, go wherever you want. You see him running the high line there. He's making his way to the front in 6th, Mike.
Jeff Gordon has been struggling with the same condition all afternoon so far. That's tight. He says when he touches the throttle, it starts to push. Again, Steve Letarte has preached patience to him, telling him that once the sun goes down, the car will get better. He says, though, when I'm in traffic, it's tighter than it's ever been. He really wants to get some clean air, Jamie.
And Kyle Busch started way in the back, 29th, all the way up to 8th. He just asked on the radio, what's wrong with the 48? So definitely paying attention to the drivers around him. Of course, he hasn't had the best of chases. Pretty happy with this car, and especially after last night, he won his 10th nationwide race of the season. That ties Sam Ard, the great Sam Ard's record for most wins in a season. It was a big day for Joe Gibbs in the nationwide. They hope to make it to victory lane today. Behind him, Martin Truex Jr. His team threw all kinds of things at their car. They're sitting 15th in points, and they figure, hey, they have nothing to lose. They're going for the win. So far, so good. The car didn't start off as good as he wanted. He started 2nd, slipped back to 9th, and that's pretty much where he's been riding around. Dave?
We saw Matt Kenseth on pit road twice already to try to help a very, very loose race car. Have they made any headway?
It seems like we made some improvements over that last adjustment. Those rides like crap, but less crappier than everybody else, I guess. Okay, started off a little tight at the 2/3 mark. Coming around now it's getting loose again, in and off.
Write it down, Allen, a little less crappier than everyone else. He's picked up 4 positions since the restart, so I guess that's good.
Gotta love a quote like that, that's for sure. So there you go, updates on the top 10 as we run now with 90 laps complete of the 334 in today's Dickies 500. Carl Edwards is the race leader. Pit stops about 20 laps away. We're back to Texas after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Edwards leading the Dickies 500 at Texas, and there is Jimmy Johnson behind him because a moment ago Carl Edwards put Jimmy Johnson 1 lap down. Johnson back in 29th position. Here's what happened.
This 48 car is struggling big time right now. I don't know what is going on, but he's got something going on where he can't hardly make any lap times.
Yeah, it looked like some of the adjustments, they might have got this car just really tight. He can't be around cars. He can't get to the throttle. He's having to get out of the throttle off the corner. So you can see Carl go by and put him a lap down.
What do you think Carl thinks right there when he goes by?
Well, he's probably thinking the positive. He's probably not thinking back to Atlanta and saying, well, we saw this action last week. But he's probably saying, hey, this is the best scenario right now. This is our chance, and we're going to pounce on him.
And here are the point standings. Look now, Edwards is pulled to within 64 points of Jimmy Johnson. And Carl Edwards said this week, if I can get to Homestead, next week, folks, is Phoenix, and the final race is Homestead. He said, if I can get to Homestead inside of 100 points, we are in really, really good shape because Jimmy Johnson has not won at Homestead. Carl has run well there. And Greg Biffle is a 3-time winner at Homestead Miami Speedway. So, folks, don't go away. It is really tightening up.
The trick for Carl Edwards now is to get this done by the end of the race.
Yeah.
And don't give these guys a chance. Don't let them back into this race.
Yeah.
Try to keep them down.
As you can see, we're just getting ready to go to lap 100 of 334. So there's a lot happening here today.
I'd say Chad Knaus is down there trying to figure out what he's going to do to try to reverse this trend.
And he needs to be able to pass the 55 and put him a lap down so that the 48 would not get the free pass on a caution flag. Let's listen into the 48 radio here of Jimmy Johnson.
My biggest deal is down at 3 and 4. I just haven't had the side bite with the back of the car to get in there and sit on the right rear tire or use the throttle.
It sounds like Jimmy's fighting loose more than anything. He's just not able to lean on that right rear like he needs to.
Watch our DirecTV telemetry. Watch him just really feathering that throttle.
It takes him forever. You see he's way up on the straightaway before he can get full throttle. But he does carry a little momentum now and holds Danny McMurray off for at least another straightaway. You can see right through the middle of the corner. He's really struggling right there. Just like he said, he can't get any side bite.
Yeah, so therefore he can't let the car roll. He's having to use more brake than what he wants to, and that's hurting his straightaway speed then, his exit and then straightaway speed.
Greg Biffle coming into the picture right here too.
7 car just scraped the wall right in front of our leader a moment ago. Robbie Gordon there. He's had some issues. This is a backup car. He had some issues.
Get it again, right? Yeah. He's been trying to do this all day long. I've watched him. He's been close. We talked about the 42 car being up there. Robbie Gordon's been tempting this every single lap, I can tell you, Andy. It's amazing how close. Well, let's.
I got you. Let's get the bear bond ready.
No, get a piece of steel. You're going to need an angle for a piece of steel. We're going to need the angle back.
Yeah, he's out talking about that rear bumper, that rear trailing edge of the rear bumper he's gotten against the wall. See how it's knocked some of the racing away, and he's saying he needs that back out there because that gives the car a whole lot of side force and really contributes to the handling of the car, so he wants to get it fixed.
Yeah, we talked about how as he's loose again coming off of turn 2, as we've talked about a number of times, he's really been kind of skirting the edge with that rear end skewed out there quite a bit, trying to utilize that. Now he's knocked it back.
Battle for 16th position, 31 car, Jeff Burton, the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Remember, Jeff Burton started back in 35th position, but he typically starts in the 30s and ends up in the top 5 or 6.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit right now. Junior's making a nice run forward here in this longer run. See him right against the wall. The difference in like we see some of these guys, like Junior right there, stayed right against the wall on the exit of the corner, and that 42 car that we've been watching earlier, he's able to really turn his car down straighter off of there and use make the straightaway even longer than what these guys are.
8 car of Mark Martin right side of your screen there. He is moving in also to try to take a spot away from the 31. And by the way, Mark will run this race and the Phoenix race and will not compete at Homestead. That will end his DEI association here in Phoenix, and of course run full-time in 2009 with Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmy Johnson will not get the lucky dog of the free pass because other cars now have been lapped. Johnson being shown in 29th position, and folks, the points lead down to 64 points. Carl Edwards is our leader.